the sulfur burn off. So, kind of a gray Saturday in the Northwest. It was raining earlier. Rain after an almost totally dry summer. Although, technically, for the month, we're above an inch above average. So I don't know where that came from. We've had, when it does rain, it rains significantly, which is kind of less how we normally have it. So, anyway. A little gray. Everybody was moping at the office yesterday. Oh, winter's here. Oh, poor me. Live in the Pacific Northwest, get used to it. Make the most of it, in fact. Moderate maritime climate. A lot to like. So I'm smoking, I wasn't really on the floor, but almost. I was putting bulk tobacco into mason jars. And, so, you know, inevitably some spills. And it was mostly Virginia number 1. Thank you, Rob. But I had another couple of baggies that really needed to be in glass jars, in mason jars, that I just hadn't done, so that was a stimulus to do that. And a few other English mixtures as well. So there were a few crumbs of all of it. This is an Ardor. Really a nice little stubby shape there. I appreciate that, Tom. Moretti carved some of these too. It's kind of, you know, Italian pipes can be almost caricatures sometimes. Seems like they're so artful. Nice shape going. What's it say? Something Ardor Fata Amano, Italia. Like all Ardors, it seems to smoke really well. So I heard a comment from a friend of mine. Let's talk social networking and how that affects society. Whoa, is that a big topic? A friend of mine who's kind of old school. Not really. I mean, he's a little older. He's about my age. Was bemoaning the fact that it seems like, you know, he wants to meet some other pipe smokers too, you know, and he has a lot of trouble doing that. People will converse on the internet, but they won't go that extra step and actually meet, even if they're in the area. And I think social guys like Doug Owen over at Cargo Hold have experienced some of that too, where he'll have this tin of 20-year-old whatever, you know, and put the word out, and almost nobody shows up. Although that first one he did, there were a lot of pipe smokers there. That was fun. Not that each one is fun, I'll tell you, but it's nice to meet people in person, I think. See, I end up puffing a little hard just to keep it going. Virginia number 1 can burn a little hot. So it's a balance, which I'm not balancing very well. So anyway, I'm going to suggest, and I've experienced that a little bit too, where, you know, you extend an offer to somebody and then they're all enthusiastic until it's time to meet. And then it's like, nope. Whatever reason comes up, and that's fine, you know. I mean, it's all good, believe me. And we certainly are a lot more connected with other pipe smokers than ever on YouTube. You know, I mean, it's like, who knew? that there were so many pipe smokers out there. It's cool. It's great. But actually getting together to meet. Now, Brian down in Portland has done a great job. His summertime pipe gatherings, which I missed the last couple of them, sadly. But, I'd be interested what his feelings are about that, too. So hopefully you'll chime in, Brian. My sense is that the internet and YouTube allows a lot of comfort for sitting at home, getting to know somebody on the internet. I mean, you know way more about me than I know about you. And that's fine, I mean, I'm having this conversation. I was having it in my head, but when you talk about it, it kind of crystallizes everything, That's why conversation, that's why talk therapy is so useful, is because by verbalizing what's going on in your head, it really sums it up and crystallizes it for yourself, too. So it's kind of self-therapy, which I've always known. So you guys are part of my self-therapy. But, come on, keep it. Very good. So anyway, people are at home in their comfort zone, sitting at their computer, getting to know somebody else. When it comes time to meet, there's a discomfort. You may find you have nothing in common. You may find that, you yourself are kind of socially shy and are uncomfortable meeting somebody who you've never met, even though you kind of know them, from YouTube or whatever, Facebook, which I don't participate in. I mean, you could spend your whole life on the internet. I think a lot of people do spend most of their social life on the internet. It's okay, whatever. I think there are social consequences, though. So when it comes time to meet somebody in real life, that's kind of scary. It produces anxiety, and that's an uncomfortable emotion for a lot of people. Uncomfortable feeling is an emotion. Picking nits there. But it's uncomfortable. And people don't like discomfort. Fair enough. So we tend to avoid discomfort, seek comfort. So we seek the known, or we stay behind our computer, which is more comfortable. I will suggest, though, that ultimately that is a lonely place to be. Take it or leave it. Yeah. I mean, it only goes so far. So, if you have enough of it, enough 500 Facebook friends, and you're constantly interchanging and knowing what they're having for dinner, blah, 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 it's distracting. But I think ultimately it's shallow. Just because it kind of really can't go too much deeper. Although hopefully, something like this, where people are going to be like typing, I totally disagree. That's like, well, whatever. Cool. Let's have a conversation. But it tends to be a monologue, and then a monologue, and then a monologue, and then a monologue. So that is different than a conversation. I was reading in The Economist today. There's a definition of social interaction called a duologue, which is like old married couples. He never hears what I say, because they talk to each other but the other doesn't necessarily hear what the one is saying, and so it's kind of a dual monologue. It seems to me that that's a lot what the internet is about, or simply a monologue. You know, it can be very one-sided, and that's fine. I mean, I'm getting out of this what I want to get out of it, which isn't all that much. I mean, it's like, I get to smoke with you guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Otherwise, I'd be smoking by myself. And this allows me to have a little conversation and kind of crystallize what I'm thinking, and that's valuable to me. So, I thank you for smoking with me. Because honestly, in my neck of the woods, I'd smoke way less if I had to wait until I had somebody to smoke with. So, lighting. Because you see, in a conversation, you say something, somebody else is talking while you're smoking, so you can smoke and listen and keep your pipe going just fine versus blah 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 talking all the time like I am now. Anyway, it's an interesting phenomenon, and it's compared to 20 years ago, it is I think a deeply changing social phenomenon. We're in the middle of it, so we don't really see it. But later, mark my words, sociologists are going to have a field day. Now I look at the advantages of it. I get to do this. How cool is that? You guys get to maintain your privacy, and yet have kind of a social interaction. So good, it works. But it isn't face-to-face having a real conversation. I had dinner last night with a couple of friends of mine from the motorcycle club. They don't ride anymore. They're older. They're in their 80s. And, their conversations can have some uncomfortable moments. It's like, we're getting older. We're going to die. I hurt. I'm not that happy. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't have a solution. There is no solution to that. That's, it's just how it is. And so you have to sit there with those kind of uncomfortable emotions and just kind of be together with those. And that's where this interaction is probably not, is shallow enough it doesn't ever go there. Because we don't get to that uncomfortable point. We just click off, So instead of sitting in a normal conversation with some uncomfortable emotions, sense of helplessness. It's raining. There's rain all over my glasses. Instead of sitting with those emotions and just kind of hanging with them, we just click to the next video, or I'm bored. This is a boring topic. Click, So I'm sure it's happening. Oh yeah, and that's fine. It allows me to talk about this, which it was just kind of going through my head. So anyway, it's easy. The internet makes things easy, and we can avoid uncomfortable emotions. Now that the end result of that is our relationships are less deep. I'm getting near the end here. Our relationships, I think, are really less deep, and we ourselves are less able to be comfortable when those uncomfortable emotions do come up for us. So we're less trained, if you will, to just be able to be there with those emotions that you can't do anything about, other than avoid. Those who meditate, and that word is fraught with all kinds of ooh la la, nirvana meanings, but really meditation is simply about sitting with yourself and being there and staying there with yourself. And that's hard work. And that's the gist of it. It's hard work to do that, and the internet allows us to be lazy and just go to something else that's more fun, or that stimulates our little monkey mind, So I'm the same way. Come on, believe me, I'm not judging. I'm just observing this because it happens to me too. So I get a lot more meaning, depth, self-understanding, connection, all those things that I look for in a relationship, a friendship, even my working relationships. I seek those things out, and I like to deepen my relationships. Now, some people you just can't, that's cool, sometimes it's not going to happen. Sometimes you're just not in the mood. Let's get her done. But the internet and social media makes it easy to just live in a TV world of distraction, just constantly distracting ourselves from deeper thought, deeper emotion. So when we are confronted with those emotions, when our parents die, when our significant other develops cancer or depression or whatever, it's much more of a big fucking deal, because we aren't as comfortable being there and just being able to sit there and be around that emotion with that sadness. I think really sadness is the core feeling there. And and sadness is an uncomfortable emotion for, I think, all of us, really. That's why people commit suicide, But it's just part of being alive. And it's part of being there for somebody else, is to be with them when they're feeling that helplessness and sadness, and we deprive ourselves, without realizing it, of that deep connection. So the internet is awesome. Social media has connected us in so many more ways on an everyday level than we have ever been connected. But there's a downside. And you can counter that downside as long as you're aware of it. And nurture your friendships, People you really like. Do things with them in real life. Don't just game with them. Hang out with them, And hang out with them even when it's a little tough. It makes you a better person, too. And just a more rounded person. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm done. Off the soapbox. Anyway, that was going through my head. And so I thank you for letting me verbalize all that.